And we're live, I guess, huh? For real? We're here. How about that? Isn't it just remarkable? This is good. So
It sure is.
are we gonna wait a minute and let people pop on, or we're just gonna start
get right into it.
get right into it? Well, I have my spoonophones here. Have you ever seen my spoonophones, Kerrie?
I have not. This
Okay.
is new for me.
I will tell you about my spoonophones here, but let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Mary Gunn. I'm Mary Gunn Fun, founder and head professor at Fun University. Welcome to Cut the Crap and Create number three with Kerrie Woodhouse from Melbourne, Australia. We're glad to have you here. Cut the Crap and Create is a visual podcast talking about creativity with creators. So we're pulling some pretty cool, fun, wonderful people in that just delight with creativity, as I do as well. And today we have found this darling lady. I have been watching her for over a year on Instagram and on YouTube. And we started talking about a year ago, saying with the mandalas. She does mandala drawing every December, one mandala a day. And I thought, I kind of got the bug from her. And so I said, oh, okay, I'll try some mandala drawing. And it was great fun. It was darn fun, but I don't think I could do one every day like Kerrie does. And so we started talking about this, but we didn't have the show to support her, a conversation with her. But now we do. And she said yes. And so may I introduce to the world Kerrie Woodhouse from Melbourne, Australia. Yay! Thank you for...
Mary. It's so nice to be able to talk to you.
It is nice. It's very fun for me. We have a bit of a time difference. It's 4 in the afternoon here and 9 in the morning tomorrow there. So it's she's bright and perky, and I'm getting kind of sleepy. So it's kind of fun. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Miss Kerrie.
Well, as you can see, I love all this creativity, but I have to say I'm kind of the poster child for not putting yourself in a box of whether you're creative or not, because I started out as a chartered accountant. So I like to tell people that anybody can be creative. If an accountant like me can learn to do this, anybody can.
That's a good point, actually. My daughter is a trained accountant as well, and she does photography. So it was just like she learned all that stuff and went, I really don't like it. And then she cracked into something a little more creative, and she is remarkable. I see a couple familiar people there. Yay! Thank you, Bitty Penny and Christina and Doug. Thank you for joining us today. So how did this all start then? What was the breaking point that you just said, I'm out of the box. I'm going with all sorts of creativity?
Well, I've got little twins, and when they were about 3 years old, I think, we were on holiday, and I was watching my daughter painting. And one of the things I loved about having little kids was buying all the little kids' art supplies. It was like this whole new world had opened up. It's like a whole bunch of new toys, the best new toys. And then I realized I was actually seemed to be buying them all for me. And I was watching her drawing. And, when you can see someone so totally absorbed in what they're doing that kind of the world has disappeared. And I thought, I want that. I don't have to be 3 to do this. I can do it.
That's a good
we
point.
Were on holiday, wandering around bookshops as you do on holiday, and I found a book for $5, How to Draw Anything. Oh yeah, that's it. And I took that back to our hotel room, and I started drawing, and kind of never stopped. Kind of got drawn into the world of mixed media because that seemed to be a little bit easier. I love the sort of the whimsical, the crazy. That I suppose it's also because I started with the children's stuff that I like the little cute things. So the mixed media girls that everyone was kind of crazy for. I suppose they still do it, but back then that was such a big thing. And then I learned to draw little cartoon faces, and kind of in that mixed media world got to really indulge my art supply shopping fetish.
Because that's part of the creative thing is the supply line there. It is fun. It is fun to shop. I just went to the local hobby store and picked up a bunch of stuff. and it was delightful. and it was,
Oh,
and then I came
best fun.
home and took it all out, and it was like, want to pet it, want to caress it, and yeah, they become part of. Well, they're your tools, and it's just like a carpenter has to have his good tools, and we have to have ours. Um, so okay, so I'm relating to this a lot because when our kids were little, I would have I would have art projects for them, and they didn't love them as much as I did at all. And I remember my
So disappointing.
oh, it was my first son, my firstborn. We were going to do a snowman picture, and I gave him a piece of paper and a black crayon and a crayon. And he took the black one and just started going like this all over black. And I'm going, no, it's supposed to be a snowman. He said, I'm asphalting a road. Because that was his interest. It wasn't making a snowman. And so I couldn't put him in a box, never have, never been, never, I still can't. I try. No, I don't. But
Yeah.
but we do have our own little take, even with the same tools. It's not going to come out the same. Where
Exactly. That's so fascinating, isn't it?
yeah, where 2 and 2 is supposed to always be 4. A piece of paper and a crayon is not going to come out the same. Even if the same person does it over and over, it's not going to come out the same.
Exactly. And with watercolor, even more so, because the watercolor does at least half of the work if you let it, and you never know what it's going to actually do. So you can't replicate it yourself. So
So it's really
always
out
going to
of
be
your
different.
control. Yeah, and that's really interesting because of your dichotomy there with the controlling accountant self and then the watercolor. I don't got nothing I can do to make that water go where it wants or where I want it. Well, just small things.
Yeah.
So that's real. You're obviously a very well balanced person. Either that or a stark raving maniac. I'm not sure, but I would
Oh,
go
yes,
for
good that.
I'd go for the balance, perfect balance. I'm all there. So okay, so your twins are now how old? So how long has this journey been
They
going?
are turning 14,
Oh
I
wow.
hate to say.
Oh wow. So 11 years you've been doing this.
Yes, I have. I mean, at the time when they were 3, I actually moved into teaching. So I had moved out of the sort of corporate world and auditing and all that kind of thing I'd done already. And then I'd kind of drifted towards education. And then when we immigrated to Australia, I thought, oh, this is, a new start. This might be a great time for me to go and see what it's like to be in a university, because I also am a huge nerd. So I thought I may as well go and be a professional nerd. So I had a look in on the internet when we first got here and found the universities in the area, and they were looking for accounting teachers. And I ended up in the Faculty of Business and Economics for 10 years.
I'll be
So
darned.
I had lots more flexibility time-wise, and that gave me a little bit more time to kind of be open to things like using my daughter's art supplies.
I love it. So okay, so now we're getting a little meshing of the disciplines because you've now got a teaching discipline or whatever personality, and combine that with your art personality, and now you have a YouTube and Instagram. You teach, and how's that all work out?
Let's look at one of her
Yes.
videos.
Stephen is also here, Mr. Producer. He's got a microphone. We let him
Hello.
talk now. And he does have a little thing here we can look at and see how Kerrie does on the internet. Look at this. Okay, so this one, when I was looking at this and I was thinking about things I wanted to ask you, this isn't really about your teaching or anything, but, well, go ahead. Tell me about your teaching. Then I'll come back and ask you about what I wanted to ask.
Well, I find it quite hard to not teach, to be honest, because I think I just talk a lot. I think that's why teaching was kind of a natural fit to me. And I was very
Yeah.
happy being a lecturer because I love the words. That's more creativity there, I guess. I really
Yes.
enjoy writing and talking. And that's like when I started my blog and I started writing about, I was enjoying not only the creative part of the painting, but then the creative part about writing about it and writing what I enjoyed and trying to share it so that other people who thought that maybe they couldn't could see that actually maybe they can. And I firmly believe anyone who has the slightest inclination to try it is perfectly capable. It's something I think we can all do. So I love doing the teaching, and I find it happens quite naturally. Like when I'm doing my YouTube videos, I kind of you can't help but be saying, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm doing it, and this is what I'm doing next. So it all just kind of fitted very sort of organically and made me feel like this is the right thing for me to be doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Isn't that a lovely thing when all the pieces kind of fit together and your puzzle starts to take shape, and you get to see purpose, and that it works. That's nice. That's nice. I think
maybe our big messy lives have a plan after all.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Wouldn't that be amazing? So, okay, so one thing that this little video made me think of, because you have a a photograph that you were using for inspiration. I sometimes feel, and maybe it's just me, but that people think creativity has to come out of nothing almost. It has to, it's not a creative thought if you were inspired by something. And I'm always jumping off of something. I never, just come out with something brand new like, oh, let's invent the computer from nothing.
Yeah.
There's always something that we jump off of, don't you think?
I absolutely agree with you. Don't they say there's no such thing as an original idea?
Right.
Everything is kind of an iteration or a tangent.
All artwork
We
is
all
derivative.
need a starting point.
Yeah, Stephen, you want to say that again?
All artwork is derivative.
Yeah, but
exactly.
I
and
think
if you
that's
embrace
kind of
that's pretty freeing, isn't it?
It is
Yep.
tremendously freeing, because I think sometimes when people think they're not creative, they think they have to make it out of nothing, and they have to have something completely original. But everything that you do is original to itself, and I think this is a pretty example. This flower that you're painting here, it comes out just gorgeous.
Thanks, Mary.
Do you have sunflowers around Melbourne?
Yes, we do. I mean, they pop up in the supermarkets every so often.
Okay. It was our state flower.
The ones I put in my house. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. We're gonna have a little bit of that. It was our state flower, and so we have places where there are just fields of them, and they're gorgeous.
Oh, you see, I love them in the field more than cut in the vases. That always feels a little bit sad to me.
Oh.
But, wild and free is the best way to see them, I think.
They are gorgeous. We were in Tennessee one time at a horse show, and we kept driving back and forth by this field, and it was a sunflower field. They were quite tall, and there were people milling about in the sunflower field, and we kept going, what in the heck is going on in there? And so the night where we were all dressed up, and the girls were in their evening gowns and everything, we decided to stop before we went to dinner. And so we walked around this sunflower field, and people were making faces by pulling out sunflowers from the seed heads.
Yes.
And so there were all these little faces, like peace symbols and smiling faces and different things like that. But you would have loved it. So
I would.
Yeah, just a big field of art pieces on sunflower seeds heads. It was quite remarkable. That's good. I like it.
It's quite a romantic sounding picture. Everybody dressed up and in a sunflower field. Sounds like something out of a movie.
Truly. Plus, then the girls had tiaras because they were queens. So and sashes. I mean, it was like we probably did look like we were out of some stinking set from something, but we weren't. We were just living our normal life. So anyway. Oh gosh. So your creativity, what are some of your inspiration points then? What do you draw from?
Well, there's always these sort of tried and tested subjects we come back to time and again, and they're always such great things to if you're struggling to think of something to paint, there's always things like flowers, your standard landscapes, those sort of things, animals. But I found that one of the things that helped me the most was to pick a monthly series, because that's part of the battle. We put so many obstacles in our way when it comes to sitting down and actually painting something. So I've always tried to do whatever I can to take those obstacles away so that you can stop making excuses and just get on with the fun of painting. And one of them is too many decisions. So decisions about what materials should I use, what subject should I be choosing. If you can eliminate all of those, then you've got less excuses. You can just get on with it. So in about 2005, I think, I started doing a monthly series where I would pick a theme. And back then I was kind of drifting towards watercolor just to try and simplify my life a bit, because I was kind of overrun with supplies and choices. So I thought, no, I'm going to, focus in more on watercolor. But I think a couple of my early series, I did a series of acrylic paintings on wooden panels, and then I would swap to watercolor the next month, and then I would do line and wash the next month, and so on. And to have chosen a kind of a subject that I would stick with for the month, because I think that's also helpful, because if you do a flower today and a landscape tomorrow and an animal the next day, each one of those is the first thing. Like, a first day or a first go at anything is hard. So you're just making it extra hard for yourself, that it's always a first time. Whereas if you do a flower today, then whatever you've learned to carry over to tomorrow, it gets a bit easier.
That's really a good idea.
I found that really a helpful thing to do. I have to be honest, when you were talking about my mandalas, which is my December thing, in the very beginning, I was very good at doing one painting a day, but I must be honest, that is hard to keep up.
Oh, yeah. So, it almost impossible. It's, we were talking about last night in class about scheduling time to do things. And I think that was one of the, I'm going to schedule 2 hours. That's not realistic because we're busy. And so if you can actually grab a half an hour a couple days in a row, that's a whole lot better and more realistic, I think, than
and size. Size is another thing. If you're trying to be consistent and do something every day, don't take on a big canvas. Pick something tiny. One of my most successful series that I did was, and I say successful because I did it for years and years and years, was these little Grace girls, which was those, remember I was talking about those mixed media girls. And that started, in fact, that was what got me onto Instagram in the first place, the 100-Day Project. Have you ever done that, Mary?
I started it, but 100 days is a long time. It's a really long time.
And I think the only reason I managed it is that I chose a 10-minute project.
Oh, smart.
So I have my little sketchbook and a very small sketchbook. And you set a timer for 10 minutes and you limit your supplies, and you're painting a face. So it doesn't matter how busy you are, we've all got 10 minutes. And if you've only got 10 minutes, you can't expect too much of yourself. You can't say this has got to be a masterpiece. It's only 10 minutes. And if it's rubbish, you're just going to turn the page. It's fine.
Yes. I love it. Yeah.
And that was the most fun. I filled so many sketchbooks doing this little 10-minute face, watching TV every night.
That's tremendous. Do you make stories about your girls or anything like that? Do they have personalities and you think about who they are when you're making them, or?
Well, I do. Everybody was saying to me, you must tell their stories. But what really happened, and it's a bit of a sad story, not necessarily as happy as I like those little girls to be, because they have little whimsical faces. They've got great big eyes. So I always think they look like, they look like children, but they've got these very adult eyes. It's sort of like we're all still, part of us is still that little child,
Yes.
And when I was in the middle of this project, a very close friend of mine was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she had been talking about Grace they have like counselors come and talk to them, when they're going through treatment. And she had said to me, Grace, they were talking about Grace. It's an interesting concept, what do you think about it? And we were chatting. And then I flipped through my sketchbook and I looked at one of these little faces and I said, that's Grace. To me, this little face, that to me is what I think grace is. And that gave me the idea to start collecting what other people had said about grace, quotations and things like that.
Oh.
And in the end, I put them together in a little book, which I self-published, which is another fun creative project, and dedicated to my friend who sadly passed away. So it was a lovely way to kind of remember her in that, that first book with all those little faces and all the interesting things that people say about the concept of grace.
I love that. We were just talking about grace last night in class too. That as creators, we have to give ourselves space and grace. It's just it's a killer. Otherwise, if you put too many demands on your time and on your efforts and on your projects, it makes it a job. Okay, so which takes me to if it's not a job, you have a wonderful little quote on your emails in your signature.
Yes.
Yes. Do you want me to read it? Because I can't.
Yes,
I don't.
please.
Okay. It says.
I remember what it was.
It's very lovely. Remember what it is like to play, to keep learning and be present to the joy of the little things. And that is what grace is like for a creator, I think, is just letting yourself play with it. It's a gift to be able to do those things and have some time to play and enjoy the artsy stuff. It is. It's
absolutely.
It doesn't pay the bills usually, so you gotta make sure that it's fun.
Well, that's one of the things that stops us, isn't it? Don't you think that we worry about doing things that are useful?
Yes.
And we say for our children that, you don't expect every child to turn into an artist. In fact, I'm sure most parents are hoping that they won't. But we all still know that, oh, yes, every child must be given a crayon in case they want to use it. Everyone has the right to kind of be creative, and you don't kind of expect them to do anything marvelous. But we all seem to happily accept that for children, yes, this sort of self-expression is healthy and good. I'm not sure why we've suddenly got this idea that, I don't know, what age is it? Is it 7 to 11? I don't know. How old are you when you suddenly don't have the right to indulge your self-expression anymore? Seems I think it's
after you learn how to read. I think they take it away from you and just say, no, you've got to make something. It's got to be this, and it's got to be right on this, and you gotta learn this from it. And that's a killer, but it's a buzz kill. What other things do you think are buzz kills when you're creating? Things that you want to stay the heck away from.
Well, I think our worst obstacles probably our own stories. Whatever nonsense whether we accept it as nonsense or not, the sort of ideas we've got in our heads about whether it's that art should be useful, or whether whether you can't draw because some mean art teacher made some comment about something you did when you were younger. But whatever that voice in your head says when you think about taking out a paintbrush, or when you sit down and make a mark that you don't like, I think those are kind of our biggest obstacles. It's us getting in our own way. And that's why I think creativity is such a healthy thing, to be able to work through that, because it's a kind of a safe place to figure out what you really think about things.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I like it. Should we go down to our hands, you think?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We'll just, okay, because Kerrie has some things to just doodle on, and I just have some things to doodle on. This is nothing, we're not going to be teaching classes, but you do teach classes, and we want to talk about that a little bit, and then, but we're just, I think sometimes we like to work with our hands when we're doing things.
We sure do.
Thank you guys for being here while we're getting this flipped around. If you have any questions for Kerrie or anything, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll see if we can get some things answered.
There are some comments, not really questions.
Okay, we don't have any. Okay, I can see some of them there. So let's see. Oh, thanks, Steve-O. Let's see what we've got in the chat over here.
And you can flip your camera whenever, Kerrie.
Oh, it says Tim Holtz was in finance as well. So
You see, it's all of us trying to find balance.
I've never been in finance. I've never made any money. So but I did sew my first woodcut when I was in high school. There you go. That's about the last time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, yeah. To my art teacher, so he must have thought it was okay, and then he probably went ahead and sold it to somebody else for a lot more. So anyway, okay. So here we go. I've just got a piece of regular scrapbook paper, and I picked up some inexpensive stencils for Michael's today when I was out and about. And
they're beautiful.
I know there's a lot. It's spring. Birds are happening. They're starting to sing, and I thought that would be kind of a fun little thing to play with. So, tell us about briefly you've got little trees there. I see.
Yes, I've got trees. I don't think you can see them very well.
I can barely see them.
I've drawn them out in pink, erasable colored pencil. That's my favorite thing at the moment, erasable colored pencil. So it's quite pale because I don't want my little pencil lines to be showing through my watercolor paint when I'm done.
So
I love painting trees, and I'm kind of making them up. I'm not looking at an image.
Okay. That was my next question. Is it a real kind of a tree, or is it a Kerrie Woodhouse tree?
Oh, let's say it's a Kerrie Woodhouse tree. Because I've painted quite a few, so when I was drawing them out, I was looking at trees to get kind of basic tree shapes. Mm-hmm. But,
so you have many.
Great. Yeah.
There are many.
The great thing about things like trees and flowers is you don't have to be exact, like...
Yes.
The tree's not going to get upset if you add an extra limb, unlike a person.
Nobody likes a lippy tree. Just nobody needs that. There's enough lippy people in the world. We don't need it from the trees. Okay, so you're just going to lay in some color. So tell us about your classes a little bit. What you like teaching? We found that out, and so it's kind of a natural thing to move to.
I do like teaching, and I've got the thing I'm doing the most of at the moment is to create watercolor tutorials. So it's for people who want to just kind of jump in and paint and not feel like they have to go back to school. Because I think, we were talking about obstacles to painting. I think that's one of them. That if you think, oh, I've left it too late and I've got to go and learn the basics and I've got to start with learning to draw, and you assume it's this long process and you're never going to get there. I like to give people the chance to skip over all that. So in my tutorials, I provide the line drawing in case people aren't confident about drawing.
Okay.
And then I also give them instructions and, guidance on how to draw it themselves if they were wanting to. And then we kind of paint together,
that's nice.
Similar to my YouTube videos, but where I'm able to kind of give a bit more direct guidance, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we kind of paint together, and I've got lots of extra resources, because the thing I find is even when you jump in and, do this painting, there's always opportunities to do quite a bit of learning. It doesn't have to be structured like a lesson where first you need to learn this theory and that theory. You can kind of learn as you go. And I think that's one of the best ways to learn anything, is to kind of learn by doing.
So you say you're a nerd, so is this like one of your favorite... So do you find teaching is a great way to learn? Because I think it is, but...
I agree, it really is.
If you want to learn if you really want to learn something, try to teach it and try to explain it to a 6-year-old. And so if you have that, I think it was Einstein that was talking about that. If you can explain what you want to teach to a 6-year-old, you can do it. You understand it. But if you...
Carl Sagan.
Exactly.
I thought it was...
Carl Sagan used to say that.
Well, I think he got it from Albert.
Probably.
But yep, you got to break it down.
It's so true. I think most things, when you really break them down, are actually simpler than we realize.
Exactly. I think so too, because you can find everything's made out of steps and parts, and so when you get to past the whole big picture down to the steps and parts, it's really not that not that tough.
Well,
Now I make
when
a
you
mess.
teach something, you have to organize your thoughts well enough to explain them. And so I think that kind of helps.
Yeah, yeah. So you get to learn even more when you want to teach. I think that's a lovely part of it. It gives you an excuse to spend a little time to learn more. So we like that. So
And there's always more to learn. You know, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. There's always something extra that you can pick up along the way.
Yeah, a new kind of paint comes along. You got to learn more things about that. Have you ever used the metallic paints much?
Oh, it's funny you say that. I'm just doing a tutorial where I've got a little bit of metallic paint. This little paint set that I've got here, it came with metallic gold, and you can see it's like the least used because it was a little bit scary. You know, I felt like, oh, it's gold, it's prime. I need to know what to do with it.
I do understand that completely. I do. I just bought a set that was on half price at the hobby store, and I've barely used it, but I've used it for splattering a little bit, and that's all I've done. But it sure makes pretty splatters. So I think it'll be fun to use.
It's true of all bling, don't you think? It's like jewelry. We don't want to be coated in it. You want just a little bit. So
Just a little bit. I do understand that. That's so funny how you put it. Yes, you don't want to be draping with it like what are the rap stars or whatever they used to do, the bling bling, all the ice baby. It just needs little touches. You don't need the whole outfit.
That's it. Yeah, so I painted a picnic hamper which had a bottle of champagne. So I used the metallic paint to do the label on the champagne bottle.
Oh, that's a nice touch, though. Totally real, too. I think they would do something like that just for a little bit of, this is a special bottle, to make it more celebratory.
And I actually got some handmade metallic paints from another YouTube friend, actually. I think she stopped making YouTube videos, but
oh my goodness.
Violet Connie was her YouTube channel. I think it's still there. And she had these lovely handmade metallic watercolors, and I bought a few of those. And funny enough, they were metallic colors, so you know, like bronze and copper and all of that. So I did a little garden scene with a rusty bucket and some water, like a water feature. So those metallics were perfect for the accents here and there.
So how did you start drawing? Because that's you've got this loosey sketchy, you've described yourself, a loosey sketchy kind of watercolor technique, and that's very pretty, by the way. So drawing is not exactly loosey sketchy usually, because you don't have that fluidity of your paints. You've got to have some pretty definite lines when you draw, correct or no?
Yes, I think so. And, you know, this is the thing, because loose painting is great, and that's what I'm all about. But if you still want it to be a recognizable thing, so it's still helpful to be able to draw. And I always feel like it's such a kind of a difficult distinction to make, because you're kind of drawing with the paint. So even if you're loose, you've still got to have, because that's the other thing. Some people think loose painting is lazy painting, you know, because you're not trying too hard. Well, actually, it's quite hard to not try too hard.
It is.
One of the things you soon learn.
Because look how high you're holding your brush. You're not down here like a pencil. You're just holding it high and letting it go.
Being free, loosey-goosey.
Yeah. And I agree, it is hard not to be controlled and to be real tight when you're drawing. So, and letting the water have that extra say.
Yes.
You're giving water a lot of volume there, so it's getting to decide for you.
Well, you know what? If that's what I love, is the bits where there's lots of water and then the paint and these colors. I know there's not a love for orange in your card maker communities. Is that right, Mary?
Well, we definitely have two camps. Let's say the craft roulette world, we have Team Orange forming and Team Not Orange.
Okay,
And
well, I'm
it is
Team Orange.
this
for the
passionate.
record.
Thank you. Yay! I love orange. I truly do. I think it's just one of the most stellar things in the world. But
See, this particular orange and this particular red violet play so beautifully together that I can't resist that color combination. So that's
yes.
one of my favorite things. But the best thing is where you've got lots of water and then you put in the juicy paint and then you get these marks that you couldn't possibly make with a brush. And you don't know how they're going to turn out, but they're always the loveliest if you've touched them the least.
Oh,
so you've got to kind of do a little bit of thinking about where the water is. I think one of the things we forget with watercolor is you can actually take paint away quite easily. So if you put it down and you made a mistake, you just take out your trusty paper towel and mistake be gone. You know, it's not as silly as people think.
Well, I hear you. It's true. I think it's just a really fun medium, and like I say, I don't do it very often, but I totally enjoy it when I do it. But I've thrown a lot of things away too, or cut them up into small pieces, so that they're not recognizable as what I was trying to accomplish, and failed. But it's okay. It's practice, and you're not going to have success on the first try, most likely. And if you are, nobody's going to like you. So, because we want you to struggle down like the artists do too. So, you know, it's kind of like, oh, good, yay, you did that the first time. It took me 10 years. So, yeah, so it's just kind of nice to just play with.
You're saying you were recycling the paintings you don't like into something else. So maybe you would never have been able to make that lovely thing without your mistake.
True. That's true. There's always going to be something nice about it. There's going to be some kind of color or some kind of texturing or pattern or something that can be used for like a mixed media, or strips of paper that are in a card or something like that. So do you ever like photograph your paintings and then make things out of them, or what do you do? Do you have shelves of sketch pads that you go back and visit? And
I've got them all, Mary. I've got boxes and boxes of paintings, and I scan them because they would go with my blog posts.
Yes.
And I was selling prints. I still sell prints sometimes, but it's not my favorite thing to do. It's
Yeah, I do.
So they're there.
I do. I totally.
Yeah, they're available, and I quite enjoy putting my artwork on things like phone covers or notebook covers, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But mostly
they're
sitting in boxes in my studio.
Well, see, I've got boxes of cards and shelves of scrapbooks, and then we have these shelves of potential things, sometimes called supplies, but they're actually they're just artwork in utero or something. They just haven't been born yet, but it's okay. Someday, I say it's going to be currency someday when the zombies come back. No,
it's just not their time yet.
That's right. Their time is still waiting. It's just not. Someday they will find their purpose. So, okay, so you block out a little time every day, and you have a little plan, or how does that work when you walk into your studio, Miss Kerrie?
Right.
What the heck do you do?
Well, I'm liking the sound of how organized you make it sound, but I've got to be honest, I'm really not that organized. It's all pretty organic, so I do try, and I'd given a painting a day was a lovely idea that I did kind of want to work towards, shall we say?
Yes.
But that I found was kind of hard to do. So I was rather working on per week, like how many, 2 or 3 a week. So it was working best when I was knowing exactly what I was going to paint. I'd kind of given myself a plan, picked out the reference I was going to work from ahead of time, sit down and paint that. And then while I'm painting, I kind of try and be sort of aware of what I'm thinking so that I will have something to write in my blog.
Okay.
That was kind of my system for a while when my main focus was my blog. And then when I started making tutorials, then I'd do these paintings, and then every so often you do one and you think, oh, that was, that one was pretty good. I think people would enjoy that. And then I spend my time turning that painting into a tutorial. But if it doesn't work out, because let's not pretend that every painting works, it most certainly doesn't.
What? What? You mean you don't sit down and have a masterpiece each and every time? What is this nonsense?
Oh, yes.
No kidding.
The secret's out.
No kidding. Oh, darn it. You put your pants on one leg at a time, do you?
Unfortunately.
We just can't quite get out of that human realm, can we?
No.
Even though you're creative and all that, you're still vastly human. So I think it doesn't mean you're okay. Tell me about what you were going to. What would you say to somebody that says, "Oh, but Kerrie, you're so talented. You're so creative. I don't have that."
Well, it's one of my beliefs that everybody is creative. If you're human, you're creative. It's you can't say you're not. It's like running. We can all run. We can all put one foot in front of the other. It's just that not all of us actually want to run a marathon. But if we really wanted to, we could learn. And I think it's the same with being creative. And it's funny, you've got those people who tell you, oh, I'm not creative. And then you see that they've made the most exquisite batch of cookies for afternoon tea. Or maybe they're the person who does the best gift wrapping at Christmas. Or maybe they're just the people who always seem to know the right thing to say to, a friend who's going through a hard time. All of those things are creative things, so
they are.
I don't think people give themselves enough credit for what they actually do.
Because they think that's normal. They know it's normal for them. And they don't think it's anything that anybody else can't do. But not everybody can do those things. We would be all redundant at that point if we all had the same gifts at the same level and with the same interest level.
So true.
But yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's just I think we sometimes like you were saying, we kind of hold ourselves back. And why? I don't know. Try
That's
things.
Those stories, isn't it? Those stories we've told ourselves about, the things that we now believe to be true. But a belief is just a thought you keep thinking, isn't it? It's not necessarily true.
Yes, this is true. I could tell myself 1,000 years that I'm tall, and it would never make it true. I never. Or that I'm getting younger.
You might feel tall. That might be enough.
Sometimes. That's why I probably worked with kids, so I could feel tall. And then get out of there while they're, like, when they're going into 5th grade and they start passing you up. So, yep.
How do you work with kids, Mary?
Oh, I've often worked with kids. Most of my adult life I've worked with kids, so that's how we do.
They're the best, aren't they?
They really are. They really are. I have missed working with kids a lot this past year. And the other day I was walking by a grade school, and I almost thought, and I thought to myself, I caught myself going, why don't you go see if they have some at-risk kids on reading and see if they would let you help them. And I thought, no, stop it, go away, run. Not right now. You've got enough things. You've got enough things right now, girl.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, anyway.
That's a symptom of creativity right there, isn't it? We're all multi-passionate people.
Yes, and it's hard to watch people struggle, and when you know that you have a little bit of ability to communicate with them to make it help. Yeah. Yep, it is. I've got all these little lines all over. I'm going to have to figure out how to work those in, but I'm okay.
I love
got a lot
birds,
of little
Mary.
birdies. Well, if you look at them too closely, you'll find out they've got they've got some messy things going on. But I will add some texture, and it will be fine.
Those will be the best bits.
They will be. They will be.
If you wanted it pristine,
surprises.
you would have bought cardstock, wouldn't you?
That's right. I would have let somebody else do the graphics on it. Do you have any interest in doing like a graphic thing, like moving from this hand organic thing to a computer like Illustrator or anything? Do you have any interest in that?
Oh, yes. It's one of those things that I really spent a lot of time thinking about. Is it still creative? Is it still working with your hands if you're using a computer? And in the end, I've just come to the conclusion that it's simply another medium.
Yes. Yeah. I think you're right. Right.
Yeah. Well, I actually like the kind of the two in combination, because now there's fun things you can do.
Yes.
Like your painting that didn't work out. You can scan it or take a photo of it and put it in Procreate and try and fiddle about and see if you can fix things. And you've got lots of different goes at it.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can, learn that way by messing about with it without actually changing. Because if you play with it on paper, of course you can do that, but you only get one go.
Right.
Whereas if you do it on the computer, you could try a few different things to fix it and see what works best.
Yes, you can. You just get more tricks that way. I know we just had Sandy Boone on Craft Roulette, and she does Illustrator and draws stamps in Illustrator. And I thought, oh, now that's a whole nother thing. That would be really fun to do.
It's a whole nother thing.
That would be really fun. I wonder how fast I could learn that. But probably
fast. I promise you, you'll be. It's amazing.
Oh no, it's. Steve's going, oh no, she doesn't need to.
I'm an enabler.
Oh, you are. It's wonderful. You're just like this little encouraging fairy. And I just kind of think of you as leaving this little aura of glitter and shine all around you. It's very lovely. It's a nice.
Oh, that's lovely, Mary. Thank you.
It's a nice vision. I know, I probably got that from a little girl named Lita, who is my cousin's little girl. And one time she wrote me a paper or a card, painting actually, and her mother translated the writing, and it said, "I think you are all rainbows and glitter." And I love that child so much. I do want to be all rainbows and glitter. So you're kind of rainbows and glitter too. That's a good thing to be. It is.
Oh.
There's a comment in chat.
Yes, we need more glitter.
We do.
There's a comment in chat that says, my husband always says creativity is not encouraged in accounting. So I don't know if that's...
Well, probably not.
Well, that is very true. Creative accounting is something we learned, like it's an actual term, and we try and guard against it, that...
Yes, you can end up in jail.
Just to try and standardize.
Yes.
I think that's what Enron did.
I think you can get in trouble pretty badly. So, yeah, creative accounting is true. It's not a good combination. But somebody had to be creative originally to make all these numbers work into debits and credits and things. So,
the Sumerians.
Well, the other thing is,
Sumerians, that's true.
Sorry, I keep jumping in when you're timing difference.
It's fine. I looked it up. We are 9,268 miles from Melbourne, or 14,915 kilometers.
Cheapers. So
wow.
So
and yet we're right close together.
Heart to heart, joined at the hand and the heart. That should be a stamp. Creators are joined at the heart and at the hand and the heart.
Oh, that's lovely.
Isn't it? See, we could go on Illustrator and make stamps then. No,
We
stop.
absolutely should do that.
Okay, when's our next meeting? We'll get this started.
In your spare time, Mary. Let's do that in your spare
Oh,
time.
good idea. Good idea. That's that's the 10 minutes between 8 and 9 tomorrow morning. Oh, and you'll be in bed. Oh, darn. What are we going to do? No, it's so nice to meet you, Kerrie. So, like scrapbookers and card makers will get together in groups and spend a prolonged time together just creating. Do you ever do that with, well, before the lockdown, but have you ever done that with the watercolor community or anything? Is there a...
I haven't. I have to say, I don't find quite that many artistic people. Well, when I say artistic people, I think we're all artistic if we want to be.
Correct.
People who actually do a lot of painting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find too many of them here in Australia. I'm kind of out in the suburbs. There's probably a bit more going on in the city. But
Okay.
I've also noticed like lots of our arts stores have actually shut. We used to have a big chain of kind of, an art supply store chain, and they've just shut down.
Nuts.
And that was making me feel a bit sad and
Yes.
like maybe Aussies are not so into this anymore.
Well, I don't know, because we had at the first of the lockdown, it was kind of like, oh, everybody's home. Now we can do these things that we've always wanted to do, like paint or whatever, and we can't go out and do anything. So this is a great time for that. But maybe that, a day goes pretty fast. And
It really does.
it does. Yeah.
I find when we haven't had so much, so many demands on your sort of timetable because everyone's locked up, I found my time management skills are an awful lot worse than they were before.
Correct. It's true. If you want something done, ask somebody that's busy, because they will know how to handle time. And they'll be
Yes.
locked into that more likely than somebody that's being idle. And they think, because when you're idle, you think you have all the time in the world. But when you're busy, you've got this much time to do that and this much time to do that. And I think in time, you can make up all sorts of lies about time, creative lies, but it's
Yes.
yeah, it's still going to go away. So you got to keep on. That one you can't change. But anyway, well, that's interesting that you don't have the social. So you don't have the social component so much with the watercolor. So that's probably one of the things you like about teaching, then, because that draws you into a social component.
Yes, and that's what makes the internet such a wonderful tool for us, because
Yes.
I don't really need to leave my house to find my creative people. We can be together like this.
Yeah, and
Jump on YouTube and find a whole lot of like-minded souls.
yes, and that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful
We're
thing.
so lucky, really. I don't know how we
Truly.
would have managed this if we hadn't.
Oh, wouldn't it be awful?
This whole global situation, if we hadn't had Zoom and the like to all stay in touch.
It would have been
Oh, and I
like,
forgot to give my trees a place in time and space. I'll sort that right out.
not anchored. Do you shadow on them at all, or those are so pretty?
Well, this is where I've given myself a bit of trouble. Yes, I painting shadows is my absolute favourite part of painting.
Is it? No? Yes?
Mind you, I say that about everything, don't I? But I've kind of been a bit confused with my light source, which is not the best approach. But I've had a lot of fun painting pretend coloured trees, because sometimes you're in the mood for a tree that's pink.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to just make it what you want. Realism is fine too in art. It's got its definite place. Michelangelo did it real well. But, a little bit of whimsy is not a bad thing either. Walt Disney did that pretty well. So there's
Exactly.
a place
Well,
for
this
it.
is why we love art. There's something for everyone. Whatever you want to do, there is a place for it.
You can make it your reality, and that's that's a lovely thing.
Yes.
That's part of the creative thing. It doesn't mean that you don't like reality. It just means that you can play with it and make it a little brighter, a little more somber, a little more bigger, smaller, whatever fits your fancy for the moment. I love the idea of small sketch pads and feeling like you have some success because you get to finish something. And we have so many goal lines in life to be able to decide whether we've gotten to the successful part yet. And one of them is having a sense of finish and
Yes,
being rewarded somehow or other as part of the success and creativity. But it's not really that all the time, is it? It's sometimes just holding it out in front of you and going, that makes me happy for a minute.
Absolutely. Or even, sometimes I just open my paint box, and I see all these colors, and that's enough. That's, reminds you there's still pretty colors in the world, doesn't matter what else is going on.
Yes, I get it. I truly do. Colors, have you ever had the sensation, okay, this happens to me occasionally, where I honestly feel like I feel the color. I can sense it
Synesthesia.
in myself. What is it?
Synesthesia, I believe.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, where you actually feel the color. It's a lovely connection, and it's usually pretty fast for me, but it is a connection that I can actually feel a sense of a color. And
that's wonderful.
It's pretty silly in some ways, but at the same time. Oh, it doesn't happen all that often, but I do have to be pretty relaxed, and it takes me by surprise. So it's kind of, oh man, that one just got me, and just had a little sensation there, but it's cool. It's cool. I don't know what it is, but colors, back to colors. So you're very inspired by colors. You chose these colors. How?
Oh, it's whole rainbow.
Yes, it is.
Whole rainbow. See, normally I paint something like from a photo, where I'm doing a proper green tree. But every so often, you want to play a bit. And I think the thing that inspired me to do this today was, we're about to go into autumn. And I noticed yesterday and the day before, some of our trees just getting that first little pinky blush on their leaves. And autumn is my absolute favorite season. I'm so excited. So I wanted to start with a sort of autumnal shaded tree. Also, I just like any excuse to put my orange with my red violet because that makes me happy.
I love that.
And then I thought, let's join the trees together with the rainbow, and then.
Yeah. Oh man, you're just coming into autumn. That's just such a weird thing because this week I've looked out at the trees and the buds are just starting to get big enough to see. And so we are just getting into spring.
Wow.
Just barely.
It is. And so, it's hard to imagine, isn't it?
It is.
Outside of the world.
I have to have an accounting friend to be able to understand it, which it kind of forces me into a world I don't want to go into, which is accountability and time and all those kind of mysterious things that make me put boxes all around. I know that some people go, oh, you think so far out of you don't ever think in the box, and I'm always like, what box? Yes. I'm not in a box, guys. You can't put me there. And so you can try. I'm not. No, do not go gently into that good box. It's just a killer. And I think are your twins in or out of the box? do they have a creative side? Do they enjoy art now? More or less?
I've got a boy and a girl, so my daughter is quite into art, but I was a little bit worried that I kind of stole her thing because she used to do a lot more drawing and painting when she was younger. And I don't know whether it's just, she's got more homework and she's got other things that she's doing these days. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, did I take her thing and now she, wants her own thing? But what
Yeah.
can we do? She.
Well, she'll
So,
probably you
I
can't give up because she can just she'll find her own little dimension of it, and
yeah.
you'll be
Well,
amazed.
well, I think she's a bit like me. She loves, like, when she's got a project to do for school or something, and it involves making something or doing the diagrams or whatever. You can see she's very comfortable in that sort of space. Um,
Yep.
and then, interestingly, her twin, my son, the complete opposite. I think he's got hands that have got all thumbs or something like that. He's not as into it at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's okay. They
Horses for
can't be the
courses.
same. They can't be the same. So
No.
that would make it's much more fun to have two individuals, I think, than two twins that would be so identical. I think that would be weird to have
Super weird.
an identical twin. I think it would be very upsetting. I know I would probably be competitive with my identical twin. So
Oh yeah, they're competitive. Don't you worry.
I think it would just be bad for my brain. Bad for my brain. Let's see who has a question for Kerrie and what her little nudges are, and so you mostly paint trees and flowers. You said you kind of go to things that you're comfortable with also, and that you just have worked on because you made that look pretty darn easy. How many times do you suppose you have painted a little grove of trees to make it that easy?
Quite a few times. You never
Yeah.
paint the same thing twice, so it's kind of hard to say that I've done that before. But I promise you, if you sat
Got it.
down and did it with me and we did it step by step, pretty much everybody could do it.
Yes.
I'd like to
Yes.
say I'm super clever and talented, but the reality is anybody can do it.
I know. I know. It's kind of a stealer of your joy of like, oh, I'm special. But it's true. It's true. I took portrait oil painting classes for 3 years under a guy, and that was his whole thing, is anybody can paint. And I thought, oh, sure, right. But he was right. Anybody can do it. None of our paintings turned out exactly the same. We all had our own little style to it. Like, I could tell the other people style. You could walk into a room and go, yep, I know who made those, but they were still oil portraits. And it was good that way. But what's up?
Question.
Oh, we have a
Do you
question.
still work
Sorry.
in oil?
Nope, I don't. I just do ink and watercolors and things like that. Jamie is asking, Kerrie, do you ever listen to music while you paint?
All the time. It's one of the things that had put me off doing live YouTube videos, is that you can't have your Spotify in the background. You get in trouble for the copyright, the royalties.
Yes.
So, and I find that quite hard, because it's I think when you well, certainly for me, when I'm painting, it's my little zone. So I put my happy little music on, and I've got my happy little paints, and that's the point. You can escape into your little world. So yes, Jamie, that I love the music, and I find it quite hard to paint without it, to be honest.
I get it. It really does. It kind of envelops your outside, and pulls you right into your inside, and which is where the zone is, where you just want to stay and create. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. It says, "What is?"
That's
I'm sorry?
part of the thing of getting in your little bubble here. To me, it's like meditating for people who don't like meditating. And like with meditation, you don't, like, it doesn't have to be good. You don't meditate to be good at meditating. So I don't think that you have to think that you're only painting to get good at painting. You can paint the most rubbish painting in the world, if you like, as long as it made you happy while you were playing with the brush on the paper and enjoying the colors and whatever else. It's more about giving yourself a little bit of time and space away from everything else. than actually having to produce a lovely painting. I mean, the thing is, if you do it often enough, you're going to produce nicer and nicer paintings, whether you realize it or not. But it's really not the point for me.
Mm-hmm. It's the process and the experience.
Uh-huh.
And the joy of just being able to. There's a different. I'm sure I don't know the science behind all the brain stuff with when you're painting and all the things that light up, and the endorphins and all that. I don't know, but I don't doubt that there's a special kind of reaction when you hit that zone and you're plugged in and you're just going full bore. So
yes, one of the things I want to research a bit more and find out a little bit more about, because I'm very fascinated about how the brain works and that sort of thing. Because when you start looking into art therapy, you tend to find the resources that are for like the very serious mental issues or proper significant trauma. And I'm very interested in art therapy for normal neuroses of everyday life.
Your Carmen Garden variety of neuroses instead of I like it because we all got them. That's right. We totally all have that, and it's not to be. It's just okay. It's a human thing, doggone it. Jamie's asking, what kind of music do y'all like to go with?
I'm a bit of a jazz fan. I love the all the old songbook, the American songbook. So jazz standards are my favorite, and then my children are very disappointed in my musical tastes. So they take it upon themselves to send me playlists so that I can be a little bit more contemporary in my.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's very sweet. Actually, it is that they would care that you're so misguided and want to set you straight. That's nice.
I find the sort of that laid back jazz kind of suits my laid back approach to painting.
Mm-hmm. Do you play an instrument?
Well, I don't play it well, but I do play.
Okay, now wait a minute. We don't start at the top of the top of the game, remember? So, but do you? Okay, let me rephrase that, Miss Kerrie. Do you enjoy playing an instrument?
I love it. I do love music a lot. So I first decided that I needed a ukulele. I realized that it's very hard to hold a ukulele and not smile. So I decided I needed that in my life.
That's a lovely way to put it. I like it. I do.
So I started with a little bright purple ukulele, and then I loved it so much. But obviously I wanted to play jazz, so I got myself a tenor ukulele, which is slightly bigger, and that's very nice. My special blonde wood, my little baby, but I haven't played that for a while, if I'm honest. And then when I had my children, and I felt, because it was just me at home here and my two little babies, and I felt like my whole life was very structured and scripted, and I had so much pressure to get everything right. These two little new beings. You're doing your best to keep them alive and well. And I just wanted something that wasn't important. So I got myself a digital piano and started learning the piano. So I've been playing.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then I went to the ukulele, and now I'm back to the piano at the moment. So that's
great.
My other favorite thing to do.
So do you break it down in chords, or is that
yes,
I found a sight read?
I found a lovely man called Johnny May on YouTube, and I'm one of his students now, and he does. Wonderful. To me, he teaches piano kind of the way I like to teach painting. You kind of jump in and learn to, you're not starting with scales.
Right.
Having to master scales before you can do something fun. He's he's teaching you how to play an actual tune and teaching you as you go along, which is my same approach to painting. You can paint a real thing and still be learning some basics and some more advanced things as you go. So
I like
Yes.
it. I like it.
Johnny May's
So-
teaching approach is the same as mine, I think.
So what
What
I'm
about you,
hearing
Kerrie? Do you
is,
play a musical instrument?
nah, not really. I took piano when my kids were little. And I did it by chords, and because I couldn't do the sight thing, because that was just way
Yeah.
too controlling and too difficult. Ugh, way too hard. And so I did that, but I cannot tell you how long it's been since I sat at a piano, and even when I did, it wouldn't have been very good. But I enjoyed it, so that was all. That was all. It was just something to get my little head in another space besides diapers
Exactly.
and spats and who's hungry and who's not hungry and
Oh,
why
yeah.
why is that shirt so dirty?
Already.
Already, that's right. What do you mean you're hungry? All those little precious things that I'm not complaining about at all, but it was just an escape for a few minutes into another world called my brain, and it was totally enjoyable. I'm sure it wasn't as enjoyable for my family because they had to hear it, but too bad. That's just the way it goes. I'm over it now, so they don't have to worry. But yeah. I just wondered if that was something that you followed through with all these different kinds of arts, because there's so many ways to be expressive, and
There are.
it's not a one
That's
size
why it's nice
fits
to
all.
know, this is kind of an interest that will see you through all of your days, because there's always another thing to be learning. Well, I love your leaves there, Mary.
Well, they're like I said, if you look too closely, you're going to see lots of little mistake lines, and I'm okay with that. But I do like the overall look right now. But I think I'm going to come in and do a little detail on everybody. You just
I
spice
love
it up
the
a little
color
bit.
variation on their little bodies.
I know, it's orange. I saw Hilda Nell say that I think orange is Mary's favorite color. Oh, it is one of my favorite colors. It's true. Hilda Nell did ask, what are your favorite things to paint then? And I could follow that up with, what are your plans on the future to paint with your painting?
Oh, my favorite things are probably landscapes and things that are growing, because they're more forgiving. I can make mistakes and change their sort of shapes and what have you. But I do
Yes.
really enjoy drawing people. So, I draw them in their sort of whimsical, cartoony style, but I also do a couple of, I like putting figures in a landscape, that sort of thing. I've probably got one here. I could show you the sort of thing.
Yeah.
In fact, it was me in the art. Shall I grab it? Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, please. Absolutely. Isn't she just the nicest lady, you guys? I think she's just so delightful.
Make it bigger.
Oh, there we go. Oh, look at
So that was
that.
We went to a garden. This is my daughter, and that's my son, and that's my husband. You can't really tell.
You don't need photographs.
Well, this was my photograph, and it's really nice to paint from your own photograph. So, but you can see there's my same trees, but that's more, realistic. I mean, it's not a realistic tree, it's a loose tree, but it's still a proper tree color as opposed to those ones.
Yes, those are just fun. Those also kind of look like the tops of broccoli.
Yes.
Your broccoli trees. I like
Broccoli trees, rainbow broccoli.
Yeah. Rainbow broccoli. Now, I would eat that. I would eat that much more happily than I eat green broccoli.
If you have anything like that you want to show us, now would be great.
Yeah.
Like if you have any favorite
You want to see more
paintings or
paintings?
Oh,
Yes,
we love it.
Absolutely.
There might be some terrible ones in my box. I'll show you the box I store them in, shall I?
Sounds fun. Sounds fun.
This is smaller ones. So.
Aw.
Oh,
He's
look, birds,
gorgeous.
Mary, more birds.
Oh, I love the birds. Yeah. Oh, those
Birds
are
are one
pretty
of my
birds.
favorite things to paint.
Uh-huh.
Food. I love painting food.
Well,
This is a
got
bird that did
pretty
not
broccoli.
turn out well. He got muddy and
Oh.
yes, didn't like him. Bye-bye, bird.
oh, I can't. Just cut out the good part.
And this
Beautiful.
was there's a clump of bushes that looks just like this down when I go for a walk. So I had to paint those. And there were also birds of paradise, but they were not working well. So that's something I would cut up. And I had another go, different playing, see the same thing, different composition. Messing about to see what I like best. Flowers, yes, I paint a lot of flowers.
That's pretty. That's real pretty.
Jugs of flowers. Teacups of flowers. Okay, maybe flowers.
Maybe that is your favorite.
Paint doodles just to play and watch what the colours do.
Uh-huh.
Playing. Oh, cool. This was an old, this was, you know, this was back in the day, this must be like 10 years old. 10 years.
Yep.
You know, these are the kind of figures that I was talking about, this more kind of cartoony, whimsical sort of figure, and all the mixed media, because this is your world, isn't it, Mary? Lots of collage paper and stencils and acrylic paints, and you know.
I think it's pretty fun. Yeah, I don't paint figures in them, but I do think they're pretty fun to put things together like that.
Well, what I quite like with these sort of water-based products is you can layer up whatever, you know, like if something didn't work, take out your coloured pencil and put in some details and, you know, that kind of thing. So.
Yep. Oh, those are all those are just great stuff. Oh, little corgi. Oh,
so basically I paint anything.
You do. Yeah. And you make them all just so pleasant. No angst or anything. It's just all pleasant. You make a nice little world.
This is it. I always say when I'm painting, I don't know who wouldn't want to do this, because you get to be queen of the world, you know.
I like that.
You don't like the lamppost? Move it. If you'd rather the tree was pink, make it so. You know.
Yep. It gives you all the power in the universe, like the genie said.
That's it. Exactly.
The genie in, what was that show? Aladdin. All the power in the universe in a little itty bitty little paintbrush.
That's it, exactly.
Well, I've enjoyed my time with you so much. It's been so
lovely talking to you, Mary.
Loved hearing your views on creativity, and I'm quite inspired by them all. I know I'm going to watch this again and write quotes down, because I think you have a lot of insight. No kidding. And then I will make a little drawing and with your quotes, and I'll make my own little book about creativity by Kerrie.
There you go.
Inspired by Kerrie, the
Woodhouse
style.
Springboards, one thing after the next.
That's right. It's all good stuff. Do you have anything else you want to tell us? Because you have lots of good thoughts. So, do you have anything else that you want to share before we let you get on your day?
There's nothing off the top of my head, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone's got any. And you can always, find me on the interwebs and ask me questions. I love it when my people write to me. I have lots of lovely, lovely students who write and ask me questions all the time. So nice. I really enjoy that. Feel free, if there's a watercolor thing I can help you with, do get in touch.
So if they did want to take a class from you, they would go to the KerrieWoodhouse.com site.
KerrieWoodhouse.com, yeah.
And you've got all it's all set up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go, guys.
Vanilla has a question.
Oh, I've got a free supplies class. If you're wondering what do you actually need, you can find a free supplies class there.
That's a good idea. That's great. I'm sure you will get some hits because you never know because you see the classes online and you don't really know what the person's going to be like. And you don't really know if they really care about the teaching, or if it's just caring about getting their art out, or what they're trying to do. So I think your personality showed us all that you are both a teacher and a creative, and very talented and willing to let somebody else be as successful in their understanding and creativity as you are. So
very kind, Mary. Thank you.
Yeah. Hilda Nell would like to know if you make cards because Hilda Nell and I are both big card makers. So
I have made a couple of them. It's not something I do often, but I do like working very small, so that kind of lends itself. And you can buy, I think Strathmore make a pack of watercolor paper cards. So I think it's a great way to get started, but you can also always do a whole lot of little watercolor paintings, and then you'll be able to cut them up and stick them onto your cards as as an embellishment instead of a stencil or a stamp or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I've done that.
So
I did that.
Maybe I should start.
I think I did that on our first Cut the Crap. I think I did just a 12 by 12 with watercolor and just did all sorts of doodles on it with watercolor, and then I cut it up into cards. I don't know where they are, but they're somewhere. Anyway, that was a real easy way to do
when you don't, if you don't have to draw anything, you can just put down the water and put in the colors and let the paint decide what pretty things we should be looking at on the card.
Yep, I'm ready to get back and play some more. Forget the stencils. I want to start playing with watercolors again. That's all good. Yeah.
To me, that's my mission, to make everybody paint with watercolor.
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to go head first into that watercolor pan. So, all right, my dear. Well, in our world, we always kiss our noggins, because there's enough people that will tell us we're not worthy, and so we have to take care of ourselves. And so we always encourage ourselves with a little kiss, and then we always want to blow a kiss to you too. So, and thank you so much for joining us. So do look
Thank
up.
you for inviting me, Mary.
Oh gosh, I enjoyed it. Don't be a stranger. Stay in touch. I always like a new crafty friend. So if you do want to know more about watercoloring and from a very creative and lovely person in Melbourne, Australia, please look up KerrieWoodhouse.com and tell her that you heard about her on CutTheCrap.com or Cut the Crap and Create. I don't know my own show's name well enough. This is only number 3. And I think that I'm having fun with it, though. It's just so fun to talk, and delightful and uplifting to talk to somebody about their thoughts on creativity. Because we do, I mean, honestly, we just all have enough people slapping us around. So it's nice to hear somebody that says, hey, you don't have to sell it, you don't have to do anything, you just have to enjoy it. I like it.
That's it.
All right. Well, until next time.
Have a lovely day, Mary.
Thank you. We'll talk to you all later. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thanks.